So
I mean, I
with
think
the shooting, with the shooting of Charlie Kirk, right? And he says, sorry, because I realized what this started with, right? As he said, one of us. This man who cried at the idea that it's not one of us, or that it is one of us. It's from the inside. That only exists because of the us or them, and because we count on that. That was what we were going to use. And he doesn't know that. You can't convince these people. If it's us Mormons, or it's us white people, or it's us Christians, or it's us Utahns, or it's whatever. You get like,
well, because on this one, I mean, all the white people fell for it, right? Like all the, I should say, American raised white people were like, everyone thought that he had been shot by someone on the left, right? And like everyone was going on with this us versus them mentality. And I was like,
and
and
why?
anyway, I upset a lot of people because I was pointing out that they were being like spinning up for no reason, right? And then when it
Yeah.
turned out to be someone, like, it turned out to be who it was always going to be, a white man, right? Like a white,
Yeah.
probably conservative man, because that's who does this kind of violence, especially in Utah, right? So it was like, I was just
within the
watching,
home. It's not
I was just watching them all spin up in this, like, I don't know. I upset a
I
lot of
did
people
see
this
people
week
talking
because I
for
said
war.
saying that violence is never the answer is white privilege.
It's a thought terminating cliche.
You know what? I wish I had connected that. I did a whole video about it, like explaining it, because people are like, what do you mean getting all upset? And I'm like, I've started to realize that I need to like remind people sometimes that I did not grow up in white stable democracies, and I did not grow up with the idea of freedom or like inalienable rights or any of that, right? And it's like,
and neither did we,
right,
as Black
yeah,
people, right? So you see it as clearly as we have 4 generations and more, right? And we see it more clearly than you can see it. So I see it as a thought terminating cliche, because how do you already have this loaded?
right.
What do you mean violence is never the answer? Well, who told you that? When did,
Well,
what,
it's
it
like
gives
people
like
wanted
the
me to
does
say
the carpet
that.
match the
People wanted me
drapes?
to
It's
say
just a
that.
weird
And I
thing
was like,
white people
I'm
say.
a soldier. Like, I was a soldier. How could I possibly say that? You know, like that would be so
But
hypocritical.
it's just not, what does it
It's
do
just not
aside from
true.
tell you
Yeah.
what to do? It's also colonial, right? It's telling someone else what to do and how to behave and what to think and how to feel. This whole thing is white to the core. How the reaction is, the how dare you celebrate the death of somebody? No, but why do you shut up? Go mind your business. You can't control Black people anymore. Don't smile. Someone we love has died. Shut up. Go away from us. Like, honestly, how dare you? Like, get out of
Yeah.
heads that aren't yours. That's mind control. We talked about mind control, right? I'm not allowed to feel pleasant feelings at the idea of violence to a violent person that just happened. I don't know. I wasn't even thinking about it. I didn't care. But if someone did a little dancey dance, how dare you, white
Yeah.
people, get up in arms, literally
The
up in
policing of
arms.
each other. And this is a thing that is so culty, you know? I think when one adult is telling another adult what they should or shouldn't
Get it.
be doing, like,
Absolutely.
why?
That's how
Why?
you know. That's why I connected it to thought terminating cliche. You know, once you get it based in whiteness and not in state, whatever the category of white is, because now you're just, what are you doing? You're not even talking about the fact that we're playing Monopoly. Now you're talking about, well, technically, since I own this hotel, and I want to take your freaking table and this is a terrible table to sit at. Guys, stop. And then you're going to call me angry and violent, right? And then I'm angry and violent and I need to be pulled away from the room.
Because violence
And
is
how
never
dare
the
she?
answer.
Now let's get back. Right, because violence is never the answer. You could have figured out in between we go each turn. No, not in between. Now, actually, at the end, when I get out of jail, then you can bring it up. Oh my goodness. And if it's all white people talking about it, that's enough information for
in
you
this,
guys now to go, oh, this is a white people thing. And then take it from there.
even this like waiting in
Sorry.
turn, like, I mean, I've been thinking about you a lot this week because white people have been white peopling, and plus I loved your knitting piece. But like we're gonna
Did you see the
we're gonna
reaction
get
I
to
got to it?
that. No, I
Okay,
did not.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't know if you
But
saw it. I already feel better.
but I was trying to tell people because from the beginning, I was like, no, they're not going to make him a martyr, right? Like they're performing, they're doing all of this stuff. But like the whole point of cult members is you've been taught to deaden your emotions, right? So it's not going to work. And I've been using your concept of like when George Floyd was murdered and they played that on television and people just boiled over onto the streets, right? There was no plan. There was no like, we got to get together and pass this message around. There was no like a martyr is a kind of going viral, right? Like it happens because of everything else that's going on in a society. And I don't think white Americans know anything about martyrdom, like at all, right? Like they don't know anything about dealing with violence because they've had it socially removed from them in so many ways.
Right. The consequences have been managed.
Right. It's like the cops do the violence for you, right? The military does the violence for you. Like it's removed.
I've hear distance from destructive decisions, right? Like you have that distance, and it gives you emotional space to say it wasn't me, it wasn't my hands. It's all I could do, passive aggression, and through the bodies of these men and or whoever now, and with righteousness and righteousness. Oh my goodness. And the policing is so deep within whiteness, like the correction culture, this not corporate, I didn't even mean to say that, but it's like whatever the corporal word is, it's all right there. Body management. I have here governing bodies. And that's in Jehovah's Witnesses. There's a literal governing body where they're doing governing bodies. And with
Corporate comes from
violence.
body, right? Corporal. The root word of that
And
is body.
we're climbing corpses. What did I write here? Climbing, capitalizing, and commodifying corpses. I've been all over here. And this was before, the Charlie Kirk thing, I think serves as a distraction mostly. But every time this happens, we see more white people surprising y'all, surprising each other. And it's like, I need white women to, you see, okay. Now, I don't want to be like, now do you believe me? Because if you didn't before, please stay away from me, right? But it's just more like, I don't want to be right like this, guys. But I see a lot of moral superiority, even in the identification of the bad ones, right? Like, don't be morally superior to other people. Even if you see other people you being better than them
Because it's
achieves
that
nothing.
idea. Yeah, it's that idea that there are bad people and good people, right? That we've talked about so often on this show.
Yeah, I wouldn't be talking to any of you guys because some of you guys are really mean to me. One person, let's talk about the Hank Green thing, but I will say people got really indignant, whatever that word comes from, I'm not sure, but at me for anything I've said.
Was using your analogy the other way around before I saw your video, right? I was like, because I literally was like, because I was live with people and I was like, what was the problem? I was like, the problem is he did a video. He didn't reach, like, I was like, look, it's understandable. If you're a straight white man in America and you haven't personally investigated your biases around knitting and then you don't ask anybody, like, of course your misogyny is going to come out. And I said, right, I was like, imagine I wanted to do a piece on how like growing up in a cult was slavery. And then I just made it and put it out and didn't talk to anyone black at all, right? I understandably would probably do some really stupid shit. And then, by the way, if I said I was sorry, made amends, fixed myself, and then didn't do it again, that would also be fine. Like, I don't think I would have a bunch of repercussions. I just did it again. I used Peanut Gallery. in a video, and I did not know that was racist, and people told me that, and I said, okay.
Literally. And I was just gonna say, so if there wasn't enough context there, so Hank Green, maybe mute it for a second, and I'll describe what happened. So Hank Green made a video on a show, a YouTube 10-minute show called SciShow, apparently, right? I got all of this through my For You page mostly, and I said it was a very kind of white on white crime business going on. A lot of white women who are within the knitting community. So the video was the physics of knitting, or why physicists don't understand knitting, or something. A quick 10 minutes about knitting and physics. And he did very little due diligence about knitting. And it is obvious in what the video said and how it said it. And it was kind of just, it ends up being very disrespectful feeling if you really care about something, that he would just throw something together. It's like, what? This is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. All right, white women. And I said, that's what it feels like when there's no intersectionality in a place. It is like that. Now you can understand what I'm saying, white women, when you are the men of women, is that when you talk about anything related to Blackness, it is very obvious, even when related to whiteness, that you haven't done the work as someone who sees it, as knows it, understands it, lives it every single day to a very extreme degree, right? But I'm just trying to help build that bridge. It feels like the man versus bear thing all over again. And I said, he didn't mean harm. He didn't intend to disparage knitting. He didn't come on there to be like, why knitting is stupid. But that didn't change the fact that it felt wrong. He didn't consider and care about the actual background of this thing and how revolutionary it is. And I don't want white women to consider them calm down when they're like, Industrial Revolution, knitting. I don't really love the Industrial Revolution, so maybe calm down a little bit. I'm anti-Industrial Revolution, but like, oh, white men found a way to make this. You guys found a way to capitalize off it. Great. Well, that wasn't really what liberation, what we did with cornrows. And so I said, it's like talking about cornrows when you know nothing. It's going to be very obvious and disrespectful in the process. That was my point. And a lot of women, let me say, a lot of white women loved it. Sure, loved it. A lot of white women told me a lot of stuff. Told me, hey, did you know this isn't white on white crime? Black women knit too. If you've been here a while, you might know. I am a Black woman who knits. I did not mention that in the video, didn't feel the need to, because I thought, also, why would I even know what's going on this video and on this FYP if I wasn't somehow connected to the knitting community? Right? And they're literally saying, they're doing what they're pulling a Hank Green. I said, think about maybe you in your life might be doing something a little Hank Greenish and not realize. How would you want him to respond right now? Think about that for yourself. When I say be morally superior to your past self, not other people. This is what I'm talking about. And people are telling me about Hank Green, about his views on Palestine, about what he has said and hasn't said. He's been terrible for this long. Actually, he didn't write that script. He's really a good guy. This isn't racist. I also said he's a mutual of mine. And that had to do with socks too, because I said, like, he said making a sock is simple. And if you knit, I've never made a sock. I have no intent on making a sock because that looks complicated and I don't ever want to do that. And he was like, it's something, and that really proves, right? So there's so many things in Blackness that I was trying to connect for you to say, no, you don't, what? And white women took that opportunity to correct me, to say, I love everything about this, but he did disparage knitting. Actually, he's insulted it. Actually, you're white-splaining. You sound like a man in my comment section, correcting me about the facts of this post, and would say everything was spot on. So I just felt like I just wanted to correct this one thing. And so I want to say my response to those, because there were many, and I chose, it was bothering me. And when there's a lot of y'all saying something very similar with this weaponized concern and just trying to being a cop in my comments, I wrote K. And maybe I wrote K ... And maybe once I wrote K ... now what? You hate him. Cool. I said he was a mutual, but whatever. I'm trying to say, hey, sometimes you guys cause harm and don't mean it. And then you said, he's a bad guy. You don't understand. I don't think you get it. Knitting is actually really, well, actually, he did say Well, actually, he didn't write it. Well, actually, I want to hit you. Oh, and one person, and people are actually more upset at my response, my saying, okay, because that's how they heard me go, okay, and they're calling me rude. They're saying that's rude. They're saying that's rage bait. They're saying I used to follow you. You used to just be rude to racists, but now you're being rude to people who are just trying to agree with you, to people who are just correcting you. Both things under the same exact comment. So do they agree with me or are they correcting me? Also, I didn't ask for either of those. In fact, I've made it clear I don't like it without even being rude. I just said, "Okay, I'm doing a white." And maybe is that passive aggressive? Because I really don't know. I wonder, is that passive aggressive? You're muted. Wait, you're muted. You're muted.
I was gonna say, I've been doing it to people. All these people in my comments trying to argue with me that he's gonna be a successful martyr, and I'm just like, okay. Like, okay.
That's when I would use my acronym. What happens after that? What? What?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's basically what I'm telling them. I'm like, okay, we can just wait. Like, I have no reason. I know my expertise in understanding martyrdom and the spread of martyrdom and in understanding MAGA and what's going on right now. I've established my expertise. You've established no expertise. I have no need to convince you. Like, if somebody comes up and has an interesting point, I'm happy to have that conversation. But I have no need to convince you that I'm right. Like,
right.
Okay.
What? You already just said, I don't like you, essentially. And now I'm supposed to keep talking to you? Because that's what you said. I know that's not what you said, but that's what you said. You said, I don't like this. Convince me to like this. Bitch, I'm sorry. I've been holding back quite a few bitches in my mouth. And all I said was K. And it's like, I could be so much meaner. I don't know if this is what passive aggressiveness is, but I accept it. Whatever. I am a Darzo person. I detach, accept, rehumanize, zoom out. I'm a good.
I've got one.
Okay.
I've got a passive aggressive one for you. I told someone to stop being an asshole on YouTube. So they sent me my book back in the mail, which they had obviously never read. And they were like, I'll take my refund at this address, please. Thank you. And I just laughed really hard.
That's just aggressive.
Threw their envelope in the
passive.
trash.
That's work.
Yeah.
They put work into that.
Aggressive.
You know what I mean? I feel like even passive aggressive, we gotta stop. It almost feels like micro aggressive.
But like, you want to make me feel bad? At least make it look like you read the book.
Now.
At least make it look like you read the book. Then I might feel bad for a second. Like, oops, I was being.
You know what?
But again,
honestly,
it's like I'm not. When people say like, "Oh, you were mean, you were whatever," and I'm like, "What? Well, what did you do?" Like, I'm mean to people for two things. Like, well, the isms, right? I'm mean to people for the isms, and I'm mean to people when they try to tell me I'm wrong without establishing any expertise first.
Right, and they'll get over it. Or
and if you're doing that, like, why are you doing that? Like,
you know, these people, I followed you for a little time, and I just write, go away.
Okay.
You know, go away silently. Yep. I started putting silently because they always feel the need to say more stuff like that. Okay, I will, blah, blah. Or they say, block me. And I say, I go, creep alert. And then I put a little alarm next to it. Because if you don't please get out of or go away from me, you're being a creep. Sometimes that works. But
we're not good with consent here.
Right. Consent to conversation, not needed if I'm a white woman. One person, and I'm like, I screenshot and everything, and they're probably still like, the bar is so low, it feels like with men, right? But they said, wow, like, they even called me girl, which I didn't like, calm down, like, getting all with me with my K's. And then they wrote a couple comments, and then right away wrote, wait, am I doing a Hank Green right now? Am I being Hank Greenish? And then it took a little time, and because I was in there, and I said, if you have to ask it, assume it. And then it was a little while, and then that person came back and wrote, it was pretty long, and I usually am not an apology girl, you know, I don't really ask for those, but I saw it in real time, and they said, I'm sorry, I just looked at your stuff, I see what you're trying to do here, I see how this would be disrespectful, and is disrespectful for people to focus on correcting you. Like, they said all the things. I'm sorry I was annoying. I hope you have a much better day. And I liked it. Thank you for doing the work. And then they followed me and whatever, you know, but it's like, that's once in five years that to come
and I like, even when I made my video on white privilege, and violence. And I was like, this is not going to feel good. You're not going to like this. I'm going to ask you to sit with it. I had to do so much preferencing. And I had to add the, well, you're looking at me and I look like a white person. I have a different experience most likely than you had. Just to get in front of all the rage baiting, you know? And it's just like, what?
But did it work though? Wait, did it work for you? Because when I was going to say, when I did Man versus Bear, I realized at the end, like that last bit I put of, and don't forget to that how men reacted when you chose bear. And I didn't feel the need to say that at all, but I just did because I was like, maybe I was even trying to get it to go over a minute or something. I don't know. And I was like, back because I was monetized then. Maybe, right? And I just said, don't forget how you tell and then chose bear. And that's the only reason a lot of women listen to me. They were ready with their thumbs before I said that. But why was I there talking to them? What did they think I was there to do?
So that's what I would say is like, it does, you have to do that, but like, you can't do that in all your content. Just the same way I can't possibly, like, some people, they were all non-white people who have followed me were like, oh, hey, thanks for sharing your background. I didn't know that about you, you know? And like, now I have more context. But like, I can't possibly, in every piece of content that I make, give you this preface. Like, you need to just be able to do the work and to sit with it. So I didn't get hatred the way you got. Of course not. I got, so when I first said, because it was just in my response video when the thing had just happened, and I said, I'm not going to say violence is never the answer because there's a lot of whiteness and privilege involved in that. Right. And I felt like that was enough. And then I moved on to addressing the actual thing. And then I got a whole lot of, what are you talking about? What do you mean? What are you? But
and I feel like that
just as many. And this is where I get my energy from. Like the comment I chose to respond to was a Black woman being like, oh my gosh, thank you. Can you please tell the story? Because I'm tired. And so I was like, yeah. So I went and, you know, I did research. I wrote a script, right? I had my Black scholars who've talked about this. I told people to go follow your page, right? And I mean, I think a lot of white women thought they were going to call me out. And then I was going to like amend what I was saying. And I just doubled down for 10 minutes. And I didn't get, you know, because again, I did the research. I tied it to things. I used my own freaking story, both not growing up, you know, talking about growing up in white, stable democracies and that kind of thing. Like, I pretty much gave them a case they couldn't fight with, my white face saying it.
Right.
Yeah. So that, and that is what I always notice
saying, don't do
the difference between your videos and my videos. You know, like when I criticize Hank Green, I get pushback the way you do when you criticize white. Like when I criticize male stuff, I get the crap. I
did that.
Criticize white
that's why
women,
they're mad at me.
And the worst thing they'll do is like be like, girl, I liked you before, but we don't share values. And then they'll leave. And I'm like, okay.
You could have done that silently. That's what I would say. you didn't have to tell me any of that. That's your business.
Yeah. And also,
but why is everybody sharing opinions all of a sudden?
I'm like, so many people were just picking this up as an issue to care about, but this is issues I talk about every day. So you want to say maybe we don't share values? Okay, bye. You know, like I don't care what you say. I'm not accessing my empathy, right? Which shutting down emotions is one of my primary skills that lets me do hard, cold analysis. And I'm not accessing my empathy for the wife of that person. Like, no, I'm sorry.
Not because you tell me to. That's what I was saying. That's colonial. That is even the idea that you would have an opinion about how other people should feel is something I would not spend any time doing. But like, that's what whiteness is. White people spent time making sure enslaved people, which they did not do, by the way, making sure, I mean, not everybody, enslaved people were grateful That's a feeling, right? Grateful. You must be grateful. You cannot be lazy. You cannot think poorly or say things poorly. We talked about the whole mind control that is purity culture, right? It is telling people how to feel. This is what you guys do to each other. And then you think you can come do it to us and say, violence is never, uh, what? That's not what you do. You said call the cops because they have guns. What are you talking about? Shut up. And I want to say this, that the whole calls for you to say something specific sounds very similar to these calls to condemn whoever, right? In the same, so in my comments as well, it was like, so there was someone saying, girl, I mean, already a bad start. And this is about Hank Green. So my video became about Hank Green and either both defending him from attacks from me, which I don't know how that, when my point was he's a regular guy just like you, but also just like you white women. And I don't know, but there were also people like, no, he is terrible, that's why I like this video. I'm very confused because they my point was about white women, and now white women are making it about a white man, but I say you're the man. White women are the men of women, so you're talking about yourself, but then you're not. You're
But that's
distancing
also a
yourself. Oh my
common
God.
deflection. That's a common
Yes, that's what
deflection
it is.
technique that white women do. It's like, oh, well, we can make it about
That feels so violent to me a little bit.
patriarchy instead of having to deal with the, like, we can hear what
And
you're
like
saying
demand.
and then we can go, oh, men do that to me. And it's like, it's kind of like a way to not have to empathize, I think, with the thing you're
Yeah.
being told that
And that's more of the
you
same. That's
do,
like
you
what they're
know?
telling you to do. It's a really weird feeling. Like you're trying to mind control me, and you're not good at it. Well, it's too late, maybe. I don't know. You're not both of those things, probably. It's a yes and. But what I was saying about the condemn, it's like it's on both sides. So that's how I feel like it's just a white people thing. They were saying, I remember in the beginnings after October 7th, it was demanding, people on TV were like demanding other people condemn. How do you feel about them? Condemn them. And then now they're saying, do you condemn Israel? I'm like, what is happening? How are you helping? It's a genocide, and this is how you're helping, by being morally superior to Hank Green because he didn't say something. How did this become that? And if this is how white people, you are the policiest police when you're on the internet, and I don't understand how you think you're helping anybody on either. I can't even tell what your goal is, and it's to make me. They're just like stomping all over me, I guess. They're just like, shut up, shut up. It's
I
like a
think
fire they're trying to put out, you
the
know?
demands are funny. So I, on purpose, did not address the groypers for 1 second until Monday morning. And I was live on the weekend. I was making jewelry. I was blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, no, you don't get to demand content from me. You know, for me, this is not funny, but like, I don't talk about the Middle East because I used to have a top secret clearance and I'm not going to play chicken with the US government, right?
Nope, nope.
At least not yet. And it's so funny
If you're not
because when I
comfortable
give
doing it,
people
then
that
no.
answer, most people will just like stop, right? And you can be like, and so now you see that like you didn't need to like demand. You don't. To me, it's also this thing of like the need to share all the values, right? It goes back to what we were talking about last week with like, I don't agree with everything you say. And it's like, what? I'm a person here teaching you about cults, right?
Yeah.
Just because I make interesting content and a lot of people follow me doesn't mean I have a higher moral system than anyone else, or that like you, oh, now I'm so disappointed in you because you won't speak out, and like just like stop.
They've
Like
dehumanizing.
why are you coming to me? I'm not putting myself out here as a chaplain. I'm the intelligence officer. I don't know how many times I've had to say this throughout my career, but like your morale is not my job. And that's what I feel like. I feel like I got very judged. This keeps happening to me, but it happened the most over this because my choice in all this is to be the intelligence officer and walk you through. right? I think we are on the march toward a dictatorship. And I think that because of my exact background, I am well placed to help people understand this as we go through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's people don't think I'm doing enough to stop it, or they don't think I'm doing enough to handhold and to comfort. And I really need white people to stop getting their morality from celebrities, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
like
I,
I don't
I
understand.
obviously think I'm a good person. I obviously think my values are the best. That's why they're mine.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah,
I'm not here. I'm not even here to give you advice, much less to like model living.
right. Like you're here. We're very clear, but this is like, this is what happens when you exist as a trope in someone's mind, and like they dehumanize you. They pedestalize you and say you are now a representation of me somehow. No, I'm not. I'm me, and I'm figuring this out loud. That's it. I'm but but to just make announcements like, "Hey, this is what I think." I didn't ask. Like no part of me asked. I don't agree with you. Shut up. And I won't say shut up. I say K, and it just leaves it out there. And they think I should ignore it. And I think I'm doing more more if I don't. And how dare you tell me what to do? Like you should ignore this. I don't know you, lady. Why do you
People
think you can
always,
just
they're like,
know me?
don't feed the trolls, just ignore them. And sometimes I'll respond, like, if you don't make your content, your living making content, like maybe just assume the person with 500,000 followers knows what they're doing. Like,
Right.
you don't have to.
I got my own little system going, and I was responding to some of these comments that were like, by the way, anytime I added by the way to my red flags list. By the way, he did say he did disparage knitting. By the way, he didn't write the script. By the way, like both things, defending him and attack. By the way, if it's a by the way, don't leave it. Handle it over there. Like by the way, I don't know. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Say what you gotta say. If you don't have to protect yourself with all the fluffs. Um, but by the way, people of color are very big in the knitting community. My favorite people who knit are people of color. If you don't, and like you see how in that statement there's many layers to the fact that this person probably doesn't follow me, isn't interested in what I have to say on anything, came to just let me know this thing about POC knitters, so they haven't been listening to me. I know all this stuff, right, about the words and how I feel about them and all that. By the way, let me just say this: you're mansplaining. No, you're white splaining the mansplaining to me knits. Like you are dehumanizing me. And then to just demand I ignore it. Even though this is what I do. I'm a white woman whisperer and y'all are white women actively disrupting my class. Right? Like you raised your hand to be like, I don't agree with any of this actually. I just came here to let you know that I read in a paper once that you wrote and you didn't put the apostrophe in the right place. Oh, get out. Y'all handle that or I will handle that. And I don't want to handle it. I want to keep teaching the class. But
Another
white
thing I was
women.
starting to say to people, they'll be like, "Oh, I was just trying to help." I was be like, "Okay, no content creator wants negative critiques from someone who doesn't follow them. Hope that helps. Thanks." Like,
Yes, that's it. That's a nice factual statement. And you can speak for all of us. That's how it felt when I was talking about Black women and the conference room. I felt this sureness that I was speaking for all of us, right? Like, let me just tell you, we would rather blah, 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 right? We would rather not hear your constructive criticism if you don't even follow. You don't care at all about anything going on. You came here to correct. And ew, I don't like correctional officers. I'm fine. I'm supposed to be free. And here you guys come. By the way, excuse me, for your information, Hank Green, shut woman whisperer. I actively avoid those. And he's just you're making him some kind of special white man. And also, as a Jewish person, He has a different experience with Zionism than you do. And so do I as a Jewish person. So you demanding things as a random stranger on how he should have talked about it, and while doing it through me, not realizing, yes, I still believe in genocide. I think it's all bad, but I don't talk about those things because I have and like, do you see what I'm doing? How does this apply? You know, I believe that a place with imaginary lines versus people. I go people. I'm a people. I'm a people. Got it. I've said that for years. But me saying or not saying exactly what you want helps zero people. Me trying to rehumanize people who have been dehumanized, and I'm talking about white people. I'm trying to I'm trying to save and protect those who have been systemically dehumanized. But you guys have dehumanized. You have self-dehumanized, and
Mm-hmm.
and in doing so, you are harmful. You are carrying around. Y'all are so scared of bombers. Uh, uh, hello. Remember that? Remember all that scary energy? Threat level red, threat level orange. I remember that. I was stressed out. I grew up in North Jersey, and all the threat levels, and it always was like of this random dark man, and like the call is coming from inside the house, and they would
Right.
anyway. We and they usually
Yeah.
don't
I
talk
mean,
about either police
it's not
or
like the
that. Good,
president.
but
It's not like we woke up with the president sending troops into Utah. Like as soon as it doesn't fit
mm,
this message,
mm,
right? It's just
the word. Mm-hmm. It's when it's a bunch of white people,
but
white people. Oh, you know, yeah.
I mean, it
So
really comes
start
down to this
talking about it.
dehumanization, and that's what I was saying. I was like, no, I'm not going to argue with people. They're going to try. They're going to try to humanize them. And like, it's too bad they've dehumanized victims of gun violence for 50 years. Like, it's too bad. They didn't have to do that.
Right.
I wish they hadn't done that. But like,
Yeah, we've been saying
here
the
it
whole
is.
time.
People
Yeah.
don't care when actual children get shot in school, right? Like, Americans have been taught to desensitize and go back about their day, right? Like, now you think you're gonna pull grief out of people? Not even pull grief, right? Like, a martyr is used to get people to go to war, right? You think you're gonna
Yeah.
radicalize people because some kids saw someone get shot? Oh, and by the way, they weren't even in the audience. That was a lie.
Wasn't even true.
No, they weren't even in the same state.
Whatever. Well, that won't matter. That's just I've been called. America does
But it really is the
is it true?
ultimate dehumanization,
No.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That has happened, that white people have done to everyone in order to live with this country.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And it
you can't
starts
just flip
inside
that
the
switch
home.
backward.
No. You can't say, oops, psych.
And I
400
think
years. You have to
that is
accept
the
it.
thing. That is the thing that people don't understand. Oh my gosh, this has to be a new book. The dehumanization, right? Like, after you get out of a cult, you have to do work, and I mean years, if not decades of work, to connect emotions back, right? It is
Right.
still,
Yeah.
I literally said this in the video where I said one of my primary skills, because I'm a culprit, because I'm a soldier, because I'm whatever, is my ability to dissociate, right? My ability to I literally heard a very good friend lie down on a bomb, and then I had to go back to work, right? When you have to do that kind of stuff for a living, I spend a lot of work in my real life and in therapy working on reconnecting the emotions, right? This is not something that white people who think that they're doing this work, it's not a switch you just flip. You don't just all of a sudden care about marginalized people. You don't just all of a sudden even know how to do that.
No, because you don't know how to care for yourself first. Like, back to what we were talking about last week, is self-care. You don't have it. You don't do it. You think it's for the weak and poor. You've connected it with disgusting things, washing your body, touching your body. It starts there. And, as you were describing it, I'm thinking, a lot of these white people, as I read, I can't keep reading, but I will eventually read Pure. And I'm thinking, those were little cults. Everyone was in a cult. Yours was legitimized and is legitimized, like we talk about, but they had to turn off, if it was abusive in the home and go to school every day and hope not to get pulled away. It's business as usual. And you look for something else to hear an echo, um, to tell you when is the safe time and when is or when it's not. I don't
Is
know.
it still happening?
A little bit. Oh, nope. It sounds a little, well.
I think there's like a fan on somewhere.
Maybe that's what it is. Okay. It's not very loud. I think it's okay. Oh, I think it might be better now. Yes, we're good. I'm sorry. It's only when I talk, so I have to keep talking and then I hear it. It's like, ooh, my voice. I'm still working on that.
I know.
But it's, yeah. Yeah, I know.
I'll be doing another audiobook soon, which I will not be listening to because I can't deal with my own voice.
What's that about, right? I mean, I've been dealing with, that's interesting, because I grew up wanting to be a singer, just conceptually. I just want to be a cheetah girl. Yeah, and I always want to take singing lessons and stuff, and I really enjoy singing myself, just a stim type of thing, humming and stuff. But I realized I was oh, I also hate the sound of my voice, but I was also came from a stop talking so much, it doesn't have to be about you, don't be the star, be smaller type of thing, and whatever.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I definitely have always had that.
Yeah, so it's just the idea. So I get, I admire people who I hear sing and listen to themselves and go and can just be listen to their voice again and again and try it again and again. And I'm just the idea of repeating things for me even is just no, I can't do it twice. A scripted thing. But it's healing. We have to heal those things. We can't just avoid those things because they're uncomfortable. When it's it's not a threat. You're not in trouble anymore. This is the work. And
yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I'm learning to play guitar and sing and write a musical, so I suppose I will be listening to my voice quite a bit.
Right. And that's so interesting. And, I like hearing what I have to say sometimes. I like hearing my stuff back. And so this is just part of the self-care, self-acceptance, and saying, okay, let me rethink some of these things. And even sharing that I like to sing, I remember feeling I can't tell people that because then they might say, sing something. And then,
sing.
I can also just say, no. I don't have to actually sing for the public just because I enjoy something, just like knitting and crocheting. But this one was
I learned that one from my kid, actually.
What?
So my child, I was raising her trilingual, right? And she not even 2 years old, I swear. She just had a no, I don't perform on command policy.
Right. Oh, we were talking.
Never once when someone was oh my gosh, you speak another language, say something. Never once in her life did she do that. If you spoke to her in one of the languages that she spoke, she would speak back to you in that language. But she's not just but I mean, I'm sure she gets it from me, right? Because that's every time I say to people, I'm trilingual, that's what you get. They're oh my gosh, say something.
The demand.
So I just always say, eu posso falar qualquer coisa que eu quero, mas você não vai entender nada. I say, what'd you say? And I said I could say anything I want and you won't understand anything. And they're but what'd you say? Oh my God, that's what I said.
I really, and I wonder if it's a white people thing. I feel like it's a white people thing, to demand you now prove it. Because we talk about the paradox of proof, and the demand is prove it. That's what they're saying. They're saying I don't believe
everyone I can think of with that. That's a white people thing. And then also then the actual shock when they hear me speaking in another language and they'll be
I'm
oh my God.
Out by that.
I was oh my gosh. And I was I said to you, I speak another language. I grew up in another country. I don't understand why you're shocked.
Right. That's white people's. That's it. That's white people stuff. Going to a place and being like, whoa, it's different. And then going, oh, do you do things differently? And then, and like, what? We are spending so much time this is not an enjoyable experience talking to this person. White people, be better at conversation. Is that small
White
talk?
people.
That sounds like small talk, and I hate small talk. And sometimes it's like, this is where people talk about autism, right? And like persistent demand avoidance or persistent drive for autonomy or pathological demand, whatever. There's all these different things. But like, that's giving me drapetomania. Oh, they refuse to be told what to do. Okay, so I don't know. Because some stuff sounds like just being a Black woman in America, and some of it is like sensory stuff. All right, that sounds very brain oriented, sensory things, the many connections, the spider web brain, that I can get with, but like yes, I have always been the person who I do not respond well to demands being made of me because I know that person doesn't know me or care about me as much as I do. And you can't tell me, why do you think you could just tell me what to do? You're not my mom. Like literally that's reserved for people who care about me and want good things for me. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Because that's for you. And I haven't thought about it yet. Like, let me think about it. And if it's say something to me right now. And I already know how this is going to play out because as a white person, I know exactly. I think if a Black person says, oh, no way, say something, I believe it'll be a different conversation. I believe it wouldn't just be like, it would be, oh, and they respond maybe in a different language or like, I love hearing that language or something. They're not going to go, no way. I don't know.
I don't have a list of ignorant things people of color have said to me about growing up in Brazil. Only white people.
And then they're going to get mad at me when I say that's a white people thing. Can you imagine? You know how hard it is for me to exist in this body with all this connected brain, that special interest on white people stuff. And I'm like, and you guys are suffering, but you're doing it to yourself. You're like, I can't see. And I'm like, take the hood off your face.
Honestly, the truth is, like, if you're a white person and nobody said to you that's a white people thing, you probably don't know that. Right? If you haven't gone out of your way to put yourself in a multicultural environment and like learn about other people's ways of doing things, then yeah, you probably don't know. There have been so many times you've said that's a white people thing on this show that I'm like,
and I don't know.
I absolutely believe you, but I never thought about that before. Like I thought about that as a people thing.
Right. And I didn't think about it at all. And that's how I know it's a white people thing. When my brain doesn't work that way. Yeah.
The default white thing.
Yeah. If it makes zero sense and you think it's an everybody thing, that's a white people thing. But in some ways. And it's like, yeah, that's fine. Accept it. Now let's work with that. But people being like, no, it's everybody because I met a Black person who once experienced it. Get out of my face. Get out of my face. I'm busy. Like, and then they're shocked and in awe that I'm not trying to convince them to stay in my class. I can't do this with you. I don't perform on command, and that's what you want me to do. Debate with you. Guess who's not doing that? Me. Like debate. That's another D.
And then they want to come, oh, you won't accept questions. And I'm just like, stop.
I just say, you guys need to ask. They're not good at asking questions. Yeah. Well, they're not good at it.
Well, I've told people this too. Like, because sometimes, especially on my lives, I just yell at people. And I'm like, y'all, you gotta stop asking. You need to learn to ask questions that don't sound exactly like the trolls. Like, because maybe you
that's what I'm saying. That's like
competency
exactly
checking me, but like,
yes. That is literally what I'm saying is like all white people it's Spider-Man memes to us, right? You guys think you're so different. You think you should be viewed all as individuals or on the good side or the bad side, but you're all white people until you are on next, behind, or in front of me doing something, and you're still white. But we'll be like, hey, look at you, thank you.
Well, we actually know you. Yeah.
Right. Well, no. Well, we are smart assholes. Like the fact that you think you can tell me what you are and that I just believe you, like I'm not AI. That's not how this works. Other people are not AI. You can't tell them how to think and feel about you. And I think that's what's also happening is like white people saw Charlie Kirk and Meredith and they're like, I would hate to see Black people making jokes about me if it were me. Well, then don't be him. You
Well,
can't say,
wait.
then don't do that.
Like
Consequences, man.
I've seen some people being like, well, now all influencers are more scared, and I'm like, I'm not more scared. I
I'm not.
I don't think there's a lot of people out there in the world that want to shoot me, and I don't think my
Like, what
threat.
has changed?
Like there was a lot of people trying to say, if you're saying if you reap what you sow, that's supporting violence, and I'm like, look, I
Okay.
I literally do not believe in like anything, any supernatural anything, right? I don't think there's any big plan. I don't think there's anything. But I do think, like when people when somebody treats you really, really right? You're probably not the only person they've done that to
Right.
in their
Right.
lives. And
Yeah.
one day it's going to catch up with them, right? Like
Yeah.
that's why karma works.
Yeah.
In my
Oh, the
opinion,
consequences
right?
of my
It's just,
actions.
and I kept saying, they're like, oh, aren't you more scared now? And no, I throw around glitter and yarn. I throw around glitter and yarn and love. Like, why? I'm
Oh my God.
not afraid when
Wait.
people
Yes.
come to my events, they want to hug me and they bring me dollhouses. They don't want to debate me or shoot me. Like that's not, I mean,
Right.
obvious. I'm not saying
Yeah.
people are responsible for like angry fans. I'm not saying that either, but I'm saying if
I
you're
was thinking for me, I was
generally
just like,
if you're
I wish I could.
generally just putting out a bunch of hate into the world, then yeah, you got to be more worried about how people are going to respond.
And it's so white to even think you should be able to do what he did. Look at how I feel safety wise about what I'm doing, which is very
Right.
generous, nice, kind, patient, niceness. I believe it's not even nice, it's kind, whatever. Right. And I know that I would be a target if I was more, we talked about this, if I
Yeah.
was out in Front Street, right? He is a white man saying the worst things you could say, like he can think of essentially. And like, who are you talking to? Right. That's why one of the other weights I say, it's weight with two T's. Who am I talking to? You think black, what do you, and like you said with George Floyd, like that's what we're talking about. Oh, does it suck to see someone that looks like you be murdered? What? How dare you bring your white ass over here demanding feelings? And also just like, that's the colonial thing of telling you, aren't you scared? Why aren't you scared? We need you to feel this way. Is colonial. Get out of my body. Trying to get under your skin, trying to make you feel. That's narcissism for you. Like, why do they care how you feel? They don't care how I feel. Because you are dangerous when but I'm already, no one's believing me already, but that's why I like where I sit in this. I like where you sit in this positionality wise. And I can talk to you and, we work things out. I can make these connections. I can say what I want to say.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, one of the main
And
comments I
influence
get,
that way.
right? Anytime I touch any content about white privilege, right? Like one of the main comments I get is like, yes, thank you, Auntie, which I think is so sweet. And they'll be like, and people say, people of color have been saying this for decades and nobody listens, right? And like, that is really,
You know how exhausting
that is the crux of it. And it's like,
yeah,
it's not going to change just by more people of color saying the things. Like it has to be the white people saying the things. And
right.
it has to be the white people not backing down when
right. And
they are
speaking from
addressed by other
there,
white people and told that they
Mhm.
don't like it or it's changed how they think about you.
They have to feel socially and like personally secure in there. But that's what will happen as you gain a sense of self in relation to it. And that includes your whiteness. Like if you can't see yourself as a white person, then let's not talk about it. When I say make it about race to people, I always say make it about your race. See your color. I'm taking that white hood off. You're looking through these teeny holes and you're like, I don't see how it's racist. And I'm like, all right, let me take this hood off. And you're like, stop attacking me. The sun is gonna burn me. And I'm like, no, it's here sometime. I got sunscreen. Bitch, let me take the hood off. And it's been 400 years. It's another one of those like waking the sleeping beauties. I'm like, you keep putting this hood on your face every single day. And you're complaining about your lack of peripheral vision and racial vision. And I can't see that the hood is white. It's on the outside. I'm so frustrated, But you guys, it is nice to hear. And it's so easy once you are doing it to kind of see and connect the dots. And that's all. Like, just like with men, what do you hope men do when they find out that sexism is bad? And even they may have thoughts about knitting and things that are, what do you hope they do moving forward? And how do you hope? It can be so simple. It's a cheat code right there. Do you want them
And
to
it's
correct you on the facts of your video? And when you said this thing, we're technically blah blah blah. Hank Green actually was really bad. He actually is terrible for what he did. Oh, do you know what Black people say about you? That's one other thing I wanted to say about that. He did disparage knitting. Do you know how many Black people? Sorry, but like when I tell them what I do, are like they know exactly what they're doing. And to a degree, they're right. They're way more right than me more often. I am the one who has been naive. But there is a percentage that don't know. But also, I need y'all to see it more, to see take the hoods off your faces. You're running into everybody and you're carrying around these fire sticks and you don't need them. It's not helpful right now. You're just trying to burn stuff. Calm down, sit down, let me take this hood off, and you listen to me for a second. It's like running around, lighting things on fire, and then running around because you're lit on fire, and you need to stop, drop, and
and
scroll.
then you're like, fire's
And
never
then,
the answer. And then Rebecca's just over here like, I'm trying to teach you how to cook. Like, we can roast marshmallows over here. Like,
right, I'm like,
stop.
okay, we're over here. I tried to tell them, I hope you guys can maybe speak their language or something and get them to stop burning stuff down over there. But over here, we're making the best with what we can. Yes, we have fire. We got lots of fire. Okay. All right. So how do we want to use it? And let's stop burning down each other's houses. Let's chill out for a second. Eat something. Stop with the flat stomachs, you guys. That's serving 0 people. We're so focused on you're tearing yourselves apart, you're burning yourselves. And I remember thinking when I made up Stop, Drop, and Scroll that it felt similar to Stop, Drop, and Roll in that you need to know this before you are catch on fire, so that when you are on fire, you don't do the thing that comes natural and run and hit yourself or go run to your nearest friend and light them on fire, your Black friend and they're like, stop, they're yelling at you to get down on the ground, roll around, and you're like, help me. I'm like, I'm trying to tell you what to do. And they're like, that doesn't sound right. I don't, or whatever, and I've used fire a lot in my analogies, and also like the grease fire versus a, a regular fire or electrical fire. Like, you guys, sometimes you need to find out what kind of fire it is. And they're like, I
Yeah.
don't see colors of fire. I think all
Well, I
fire is dangerous.
think
I
all
think all
fire's the
fire is
same.
hot.
Fire's never the answer.
Yeah, fire's just hot, guys. Imagine burning alive. Would be bad for you. Don't fire. Don't you. Okay, so who's cooking dinner? I need stop making announcements. How about that? How about just stop making announcements? Sit for a little bit.
That was,
Let the people
like,
who live
the
here do
main thing
something.
I wanted people to learn was I was like, and to be fair, I would say like a good portion of my audience kind of came back with their head hanging and they were like, ma'am, I did it. I was a conspiracy bunny. Like, I'm learning, and that was all you had to do. But it was like,
Yeah, I
in
like
the
that.
2 or 3 days before the shooter had been identified, like, we didn't need to spin up. We could have just let them. And I was trying to model this for people. I was like, I did not. Actually, what happened is I was in a car accident right when that was going on. And literally, Rebecca, somebody emailed my team to demand that I make a video when we were talking about, like,
Excuse me.
Meanwhile, I
Excuse
could
me.
not care less what's going on with Charlie Kirk because I was in an accident with my kid, right? Like, I was completely focused on
See
this
how little
thing.
they care about you as a human, right?
Right,
You are a mouthpiece
right.
to a white audience
And
anyway.
I
That is a
specifically
white thing.
used that language when I was like, just to remind you all that I am a human being. You know, like, the reason that you don't hear from me, that you didn't hear from me, was blah, blah, blah. And also, like, you don't get to just demand stuff from me, you know?
If
But,
you
like,
demand it from
I
me,
was,
now, now
I
you're
was specifically
triangulating
like,
something.
I'm not letting this ruin my week. I'm not letting this take over. Like, I'm not, like, y'all can make this choice too. And then it's like, I mean, it's very much the booger thing that you deal with all of the time. And I was like, oh, this is interesting to watch because they all just like conspiracied out loud really hard. And then it came out that like none of that was necessary. And then everyone just started being even more nasty to each other, which was, I guess, sort of surprising. Not surprising, but you know what I mean. Just like, oh, okay, this is what we're choosing.
It's like, oh, come on. You know, it's like, it doesn't make any sense, but it is the way of our nation. We are what did I say, gaslight, gift horse, goalpost. They just, and then repeat, lots of repeating cycles and moving business as usual. Who said that's good? Usual is bad. Our usual sucks. Our business, bad. Maybe dissolve it. You know, ever thought about cutting it out? Ever thought about stopping? But, you know.
And that's what I think the real crux of it is, right? I think white people think of themselves as so individual, right? There's this idea that by me working on me to not be a racist, then I can fix everything. And it's like, no, what you're going to learn is that the whole system is from the beginning. And at some point, we're going to have to pull it down and redo it. And that's not comfortable. And you're not going to just get to go back to your. I mean, they are just going back to their nice lives, but now you have to care about this, right? Like, now if the system is.
You
know, that was
and you see,
this was the thing I said after I wrote Uncultured, which was like, once you realize that a system is toxic, right? Which is like a big part of my books about how the army is a toxic system, especially to women. Then all of a sudden, it's hard to be proud of all of the things that you achieved in that system, right? And so it's like immediately after writing my book, without any other like deeper criticism of militarism or the military, or just with my very brief, like, the military sucks for women, I was like, well, now I'm much less proud of being successful in that system because I was successful in a toxic system that was bad to people.
That's how I felt about corporate America. You know,
I
did all that.
There's a lot of white women that think you can just dip your toe in deconstructing this.
Or maybe they sense,
and that's just not true. Huh?
Yeah, no, you can't just, take a class and then get your list and labels of good and bad and list of what to say, the terms we accept and all that stuff. It's seeing yourself.
It's like once you really realize that this land was stolen and built on blood and bodies and blah, 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 like.
And they were lying to you.
And once you realize the ladder was made of bodies, now you're going to, if you still have to climb up the ladder to reach your house, that's going to be uncomfortable for you, you know, and that's the part that's what I always say is like the part that we as white women need to understand. It's like, it's not enough to just learn how bad the system was or the history was and like undo it yourself. Like, that's great. You're not furthering the damage. You're not carrying water, but like now you actually have to care about fixing it and making it not like that for everyone else.
Yeah, not contributing to it
you
more
have to go to or you have to go to some sort of cognitive dissonance in your mind.
Yeah, and see their individualism battle and that, whatever they do has no impact on other people is just not true. And I think that's hard to deal with, but that's life. Deal with it. But I do think it's like also seeing the opportunities ahead. It's not just about the terrible, race. Seeing
Right.
your own race doesn't mean just being focusing on trauma and the trauma of Black people or how terrible. It's also just the facts. It's like, just look at it. And what can you release yourself from? You don't have to step on any more bodies. Yeah, I don't know exactly how you're going to make your man paperwork paycheck or whatever. I didn't either, but at least you don't have to keep believing that this is your, like, looking forward to something. What I remember drawing was like, yes, you're in this big ass pyramid thing and you've been climbing bodies. Now what you're gonna have to do is start going back, climbing down.
Down.
And that people aren't used to going down, taking it slower, not faster, not amping up the emotion, not turning, using the same energy that pushed you in shame to that kept you going isn't gonna that's not what you use to go down. You use different things to go down. Slower processes, regulating yourself and seeing where you're stepping and where you stepped before, and maybe you should go back down the same way you came. Talk about what you did along the way, and confront those things, because you got to go down anyway. So you're going down, you're going to get down, and you're going to realize that on the ground where everybody was the whole time and everyone was human and they deserved everything, that's where the food falls from the tree. Like the fruit is out there on the ground where everybody is. You have no idea what you don't know, and what is open and opportunity for you is waiting after you get out of this terrible death pyramid scheme,
Yeah. That's
this
like all the
corporation made thing.
deconstruction, like that's what we say about all deconstruction, right? It's like you don't actually, first of all, you don't know how big of a deal it's going to be when you start, right? You always think that you're going to
Right,
understand this, it's
right.
going to be easy. Like nobody's signing up for a decade of,
Oh,
when I first heard the
we
term
thought,
white
oh,
privilege and said, let me think of, like, I didn't know I was signing up for all of this, but there's more joy on the other side. There's more,
so much more joy, experiences
like,
of joy. Like, you don't see that at the top. They don't have the room, okay? You don't have the room for emotions like joy and gratitude, actual gratitude for your life and experiencing things. Up there, they just talk a lot. They just talk and they won't say nothing. They just say, "How many languages do you speak? Go. How many?" Apparently, So I hear y'all talk
perform.
about stuff up there. Yeah, and I'm like, ooh, that sounds like some white burnt people stuff up there without they don't got sunscreen, nothing. They don't wash. It's smelly. Ooh, every time you guys talk about it, I just learn more, and it's just, ooh, thank God you're down here with
I
us.
just,
I'm so glad you
sometimes when
got
I
away from
see
that.
you, sometimes when I see your videos, I'm like, do you think Rebecca just wakes up and goes like, let's see what the white ladies are saying today? Goes over to my page and is like,
No, I just like, I don't know what it is, but you guys are, you all, not you all, right? But it comes from the same place. You come from the same culture of religion. You've put it everywhere. You told us it's
right.
we got your stuff, right? It's like there's a wealth of opportunity there, and you guys just keep telling me about it. But that's what community can be. I'm learning about myself as well through this. I learned about white privilege through the travel, my first time side by side in a way with a white woman who was getting ready to do the same trip as me, and her realizing she didn't do so many things I did to prepare. So we like learned it together. I didn't know. And then a white person saying, "Hey, I didn't never learned about Tulsa." So they had to come to that realization themselves, then tell me that. And I learned, I was like, wait, that's insane. So I grew up in that state, in that place, went to college there, never heard of the massacre. Never. And she had to admit that to herself. I was so also, these are the white women I thought I was getting, right? Or I want to talk to, the ones who come to me and go, oh my God, I never thought about blah, blah, blah. And then I go, oh, really? That must because blah, 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 blah. I don't know until we actually have real conversations, not small talk proof. I don't ask you to prove to me anything. It's
Yeah.
happening. I'm seeing it. I see the results.
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from.
Well,
You do. I don't.
and I also think it's like, there's this before you deconstruct, right? So for all of my cult survivors who haven't dealt with it yet, right? There's this concept that the people that talk about it are so angry, right? So I always say, like, it's so
Yeah.
funny to me that there's this whole group of people that thinks I'm so angry because since I talk about
Right.
the cult, right? Like, since I talk about my experiences, I must be so hateful and so whatever. But like, sometimes, yes, sometimes there are heavy days where you're holding people's trauma because that's what you have to do as another human being. But for the most part, I experience love and joy and acceptance and sharing, and we're having fun over here in the destruction community. Like, we're not like we get to access all of our emotions about our experience, and then we get to like
Yeah.
have community. And I think there's this like same kind of thing going on with white people who, like, they think that, like, oh, I'm going to do something wrong, and then Black women are going to be so mad at me and they're going to cancel me, and just like, never. I have only experienced the exact opposite. I have
Yeah. Where's the
only,
data?
like, again, I said an idiom that is, I think, well known to be racist. And in this case, it's like, I didn't grow up here and I need to just stop using things my parents said, because they were all like the racists in the 60s,
Well,
right? So
that's
like,
what's gonna happen. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not one person was bad to me about it. Not one Black person was like, oh, done. I
What would
used
we
to
get
like
out
you,
of
but
this?
like, I'm gone now. I just, like, no, people just very kindly called me in and asked me if I knew. And now, the one thing I want to say to like white women, it's like, now I'm also going to make sure that every other white person that I know knows that the phrase "the peanut gallery" is racist. Like, because that's part of it, and that's it. That's all I had to do was like, take it
That's
down,
just sharing.
don't say it again, and then
And
educate
I've had
people.
even, I don't think white women also think about the fact that we are women, right? So Black men exist as well. So the things you think, also Black men also are saying apparently. Because when I tell Black men about what I do, they ask me if Black women are mad at me. Uh, hello.
I don't
What?
understand.
Why would Black women spend their time being or if they are, spend the energy telling me to stop doing this? Like, I don't know.
It's
So,
almost a little
so
bit of like that traitor thing. Well, like, oh, are you being a traitor to Black women by educating white women? I don't know.
I don't know. Or because I'm biracial, they'll be like, because maybe sometimes there is a hesitancy because I am biracial. They think maybe I'm pandering, but once they hear what I'm doing, they obviously love it. Like
But
they're just like, I'm tired. Thank you. I'm tired. You
I
talk to him
mean,
if you can.
I also find this to be interesting that people think like they don't think that people like you and I, who spend our entire lives analyzing things, have like analyzed ourselves.
Right. Like I don't
Like,
exist in the equation here.
you didn't become the white woman whisperer without knowing that you are Black and white, and what, like, what you bring to the table and what your stuff
Yeah.
is, and what, like,
I'm not learning it with you guys. We're not going through this together, to be honest. I'm learning things as I go about stuff, but I wasn't like born the day I made a TikTok. You understand? I was 30. And I was this, right? This came from a place. And it's like they don't see me. And just like they said they don't see you when they're still indoctrinating themselves. They to say maybe she's not speaking because she is unavailable, and that could be for reasons we should be concerned about. It was just like, actually, this is a moral judgment I'm making and a purity test I'm making to see that she speaks on
yeah,
this
see if you're
issue
gonna say something.
because it's important, factually important, because everybody else is doing it. Oh, that's a cult. That's a cult. A demand. That's enough of a cult for me. If I'm not allowed to ask questions, it's a cult. If you tell me what to do, it's a cult. Enough. And if you don't like that, I call it that. That's a cult. It's like it's an easy filter for me. It's just
Well,
easy filter.
I want to
That's nice and
say,
easy.
I'm sure you remember saying this, but I it's a research project now, but I want to say it again to the listeners, which is, you very early on after the election, you said, if white people don't figure out why Donald Trump is the president, then it doesn't actually matter if we get him out.
Mm.
And that, I think, is, I don't know, my job now. But yeah, you know, and I've really been getting upset with mostly white people, but Americans being like, oh, this is Germany. Oh, this is X. Oh, this is like, this is America. This is white America. Like, this is a symptom of everything. And
yeah. Also, like, what about now, though? Like, talk about what's like, to even have because even that comes back to blackness, because Germany is the America caste system, you
right.
know,
Yeah,
right? We're
exactly.
just
And
talking about the rules of the game
that's
now.
kind of what I'm saying. It's like going
Yeah.
back, we have to go back and understand, you know, it's not when did this happen? It's like, this has been, like, this fascism has been being planted
Yeah.
since the
Yeah.
beginning.
Welcome to awareness land.
Which
It's like an
my brain might have
acceptance
told me
part.
the other day. My brain literally said to me in words, you know, you're writing a book called An All-American Fascism in 5 years, right? And I was like, okay.
All right, brain.
I plead
I
Gemini.
get
What
it.
can I do? I was just like,
Yeah. And I
I was
like being, I
literally
remember
like,
saying,
so glad I'm done with this book. I'm putting my cult books away and I'm looking at all my tyrant books. And then I'm just like, oh, maybe
yeah,
we can teach white people this story that Rebecca is saying.
that's all I want to do. I want to be like I remember watching something about Roy Cohn and how terrible he was, but how insidious, like how he could infiltrate. And I was like, I want to be the inverse of him. Like, I want to be like, book or not, I just want to be able to spread awareness, but like in a better way, not in a corporate way, not in a bodies, not in a threat, not in a fear, in reality, in ungaslighting. And with the history of my people, I'm aware that is dangerous for me. So I have to consider a lot of these things, even when I talk about books and
Yeah.
stuff. It'll probably be underground vibes, right? Like, don't get me, I don't want them to know about me, right? And that's just a part of this. That's just knowing the
Yeah.
intersectionality of when you don't hear Black people talking about stuff. Why? Is it because it's white people stuff? Is it because we know already? Is it accepting the things and stop and getting out of people's heads that aren't yours and get back into yours and be like,
Yeah.
how many bodies?
And this is one other thing I will say to like my white people listeners. Like, I heard someone else saying that saying violence is not the answer, comes from a place of privilege. And then I said it, like, I knew that it was true. And I said it. And then people were like, can you explain it? And I just researched. I didn't have to go find a Black creator or a Black person and ask them to teach me. I just researched it. I made sure that my research included Black people who have spoken or written to this that other people can go
It's
to.
there.
And like,
Yes.
that was it. So that's like the other thing I want to challenge, like all of you white women that are on this journey. Like, good job. This journey is not easy. And it doesn't usually make us feel good, but like, it's worth it. And it's much more interesting. But like,
It's more fulfilling too. I feel like
anytime you think or hear that something is connected to whiteness or privilege, I promise you, Black people have been writing and speaking about it, and you can go find that. You don't have to demand that they speak to it again.
Yeah, it doesn't need a present day right now example to prove it to you right now. Question that. Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I used one less acronym.
And that was like, that was what this woman said to me. You know, she was like, can you please explain this? Because I'm tired. Yeah. You know? And I was like, yeah, and we like I can do that. I can go do that work and bring it back here and not have to like take anyone's extra time, just with what's already been done.
Yeah, and we like it. Black women do want to hear you talk about race, but yours, and correct your people who are, I promise you, there's a white person around us or in our comment section that could use a talking to. If you are feeling, stop, drop, and scroll, right? If you're feeling angry at something and you want a Black person to agree with you, go into one of a Black woman's comment section, stop, drop, and scroll, get in there and defend her from someone. It doesn't matter how old the comment is. It feels good when a white person comes in and tells a white person, see, this is Even
Yeah,
though
we
I
don't need
shouldn't
to
need to
do
be
this.
regurgitated. I would do that.
We don't need to do this. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just a
Yeah.
way to.
We don't need to do
If
this.
you like,
Yes, I like
if
it.
you like hearing yourself talk, you know,
I
go get someone else. Go get a Black woman's comments and defend her. That's a great way to hear yourself talk on the internet.
Yep.
Thank you
Practice.
all so much for listening to. I don't know why I was about to call it That's What She Said, but it's called Hey White Women.
And she's a white woman, okay?
And please like and subscribe. Go check out Rebecca's Patreon, where she is putting this kind of content on the air all of the time. Thanks so much for being with us here today, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.